Hey everyone, Ben Oberg here. Welcome to Crypto Mastery Education. I'm straight up going to tell you guys that if you listen and apply to everything that you are going to learn in this Crypto Mastery Education, you will make money every single day. Plain and simple, no ifs, ands, or buts, nothing else to it. You straight up will. There is absolutely no way not to if you apply and listen to everything that I have to teach. Now, I will start off by saying I have no college education. I'm 24 years old. I don't have a degree that says I know anything, nor anything that says I am qualified to teach this. However, I must know something because I have accumulated 38.63 Bitcoin in 2017 alone, which today, as I am recording this, is worth over 647,000 US dollars. And who would have known that something that doesn't actually have a physical presence or a physical representation that has gone from being worth 8 cents back in 2009 would be worth this much today? Absolutely amazing. So what are you going to learn inside Crypto Mastery Education? Why Bitcoin? The history and the application of Bitcoin. Setting up and securing your wallet. It's very important that you make sure it's secure so you can't lose Bitcoin, so you never lose access to your wallets, and so people don't steal it. There are ways you do have to protect yourself. The buying and selling of Bitcoin. And a lot of what we're going to be focusing on in here is what we call trading, day trading. So we're going to be talking about day trading, setting up and earning on exchanges, going over Satoshi value and candlestick science, which has to do with reading Bitcoin charts and understanding how they work. Basic trading fundamentals, different types of trading, trade strategies, and then we have this really cool thing called Bollinger Bands, which goes along with resistance and support. And this helps to identify when good times to enter and exit exchange markets are. And then we go ahead and move into advanced trading fundamentals, where much of it has to do with reading charts, identifying markets, and recognizing certain patterns that you can take advantage of in every single instance. Identifying and capitalizing on trends, and then of course, one of the most important things, when there are hundreds and hundreds, approaching thousands of different cryptocurrencies, how do you know which ones to invest in? What do you need to do when you are looking at research? What do you need to look at before you invest into a coin to know if it's a smart decision or if it's something you should stay away from? Setting notifications for increased profits. There's often times where, you don't want to make a full-time job at it. That's not what this is about. You should be able to do this at your leisure and be able to set it up in such a way where, say you're not at home, you're on vacation, or you're driving around in your car. If you miss out on a trade that could make you a Bitcoin, 2 Bitcoin, 10 Bitcoin, 100 Bitcoin, and you simply were sleeping, or you were driving, or you were on vacation, or you were taking a bubble bath or something, you want to be able to take advantage of that. So even having the opportunity to make money during your bubble baths is a good thing to do, and we're going to teach you how to do that. What about ICOs? With stock markets and different things like that, they call it initial public offerings. Well, when we're talking about cryptocurrency, they call it initial coin offerings. What to recognize what a good ICO is, what a bad ICO is. And then some people like to convert their Bitcoin into cash, which is pretty cool. You actually can do that. You can actually sell your Bitcoin and have it go right into your bank account within a couple days' time, and it's sitting right in there. So we'll talk about doing that, why you would want to, why you wouldn't, and then even being able to live your whole lifestyle on Bitcoin via debit cards. It's pretty cool. So moving on, there's me driving in my car, happy because that particular day I did make a 1.2 Bitcoin trade for 1.2 Bitcoin profit, which in today's money is worth about 20,000 US dollars. So let's go ahead and move on. So first of all, what is Bitcoin? The better question to ask would be, what isn't Bitcoin? Bitcoin is not a company. It is a standard protocol operated off simple mathematical rules that everyone in the network has to agree on. Okay, there was a gentleman by the name of Satoshi Nakamoto from Japan that said, look, I think I've solved this problem. Back in the 1970s, with Richard Nixon as president in the United States, the U.S. currency moved away from being backed up by gold. And since then, many other currencies followed. There's actually 173 different currencies in the entire world. Well, since then, there has been a problem with inflation. And so Satoshi Nakamoto said, look, I've solved it. And first people ignored him, then they laughed at him, and then they fought him. And then, as that saying goes, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, and then you win. And that's actually what happened. So Satoshi Nakamoto says, look, I have solved this problem. I have found a way for one person to conduct business with another person without needing a bank involved or having to rely on a third party or having to deal with exchange rates or inflation or anything like that. And it took a little bit, but from 2009 all the way to here, we've seen a coin go from 8 pennies, 8 US cents, to over 19,000 US dollars. So not something to laugh at anymore, something to take serious. So Bitcoin is not a company, it's a standard protocol operated off simple mathematical rules that everyone in the network has to agree on. And once again, note, there's 173 different currencies in the world. So you have to also look at the problem that it solves. And first, before talking about that, think about this. When you go to a bank and you want to send a wire to another person, you're going to pay $30 and it's going to take 2, 3, 4, 5 business days. If it's international, you're going to pay more. If you go to swipe your debit or credit card on an ATM that is not the same as the bank that you bank with, well, you're going to pay a fee. You're going to have transaction fees as a merchant if you're taking payments from a debit or a credit card. If you want a cashier's check, you're going to pay money. There's fees. That's what I'm getting at. There's fees. With Bitcoin, you're eliminating that third party, aka bank, getting away from centralization and going into what we call a decentralized currency. Bitcoin is the first decentralized currency. It allows me to conduct business with you or vice versa without actually having to rely on a bank tell me if I can have my money, how many transactions I can have, and for that matter, banks seem to like having you go into debt. You know, if the money is not in your account, they'll still pull it so they can get a $35 overdraft fee on you. So these problems don't exist in the Bitcoin world. Bitcoin is the first international currency. So rather than having to deal with inflation, when governments say, oh, there's not enough money, let's print more, thus driving down the value of the dollar or of the euro or of the British pound, you don't deal with that because Bitcoin is an international currency. It's an entire network. Every single participant in the network has to agree when a transaction is taking place. And so every single participant in the network gets to have stake in what is done. Because of this, it doesn't matter if you are in China, South Korea, Africa, Vietnam, Canada, the United States, Europe, New Zealand, doesn't matter. It's worth the exact same in every single corner of the world, thus solving inflation and exchange rates. Now here's the other thing you need to understand about Bitcoin. 39% of the world's population does not have a bank account. And if you want to get technical, that's over 3 billion people. Now, of course, out of 3 billion people, some of them are still chilling in a crib and are 7 years old or 12 months or 7 months or just newborns or under 18 or whatever. But there's a large portion, nonetheless, there are billions of people on Earth that don't have bank accounts simply out of the premise that they can't afford to bank. And so Bitcoin solves that. If you want to take $5 out of an ATM machine, you can't. You can't take any less than $20 out. Well, with Bitcoin, you can send and receive as little as a tenth of 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 a penny. You can send and receive whatever amount you want, and you're not going to pay fees anywhere near what a bank or a centralized department or a centralized authority, an entity, would charge. The other thing to really realize is, think of this, credit cards, Visas, MasterCards, American Express, 1950s technology. Credit cards were like, hey, idea, what if we create a card where you can actually process transactions through the card for people that don't carry cash around and want to be able to, go into their bank and deposit and withdraw cash and all that stuff. What if we do that? So credit cards, having been developed back in the 1950s, can't possibly be an internet technology, something to keep up with the technology era where we have iPhones and different inventions coming out and plasma TVs and different screens and flat screens and all these different inventions. Since the internet, credit cards, Visas, they can't possibly keep up. So when you take all this into consideration, you have to realize that Bitcoin is not just a currency, it's a technology, a network, and a currency. So what next? How is Bitcoin actually sent and received? It's actually sent and received off of a network that we call the blockchain. The blockchain is simply a public ledger in which all Bitcoin transactions are recorded. Now, if you talk to a bank, it's kind of funny, and you talk to them and go, "Oh, do you have any, Bitcoin research teams or something like that?" They'll often say, "I've done this. I've walked into Wells Fargo and I've done this before." And they said, "Oh yeah, we have a blockchain research team. It's great technology. It's amazing. It's really revolutionary." No, it's not by any means. The blockchain is a public ledger. Public ledgers have existed since cavemen tallying how many days they've been stuck in a cave on papyrus, okay? It's not any like big technology or anything. A blockchain is a public ledger. It's a receipt. It's where you record stuff. It's like anything. It's not any rocket science, okay? So I find that rather funny. But a blockchain is simply a public ledger in which all Bitcoin transactions are recorded. Since the very first Bitcoin transaction, all of them are recorded publicly for everyone to look at. When a transaction is sent and received, the entire network, which is literally every single person that holds any amount of Bitcoin, therefore all participating individuals must agree that the currency is there in order for the transaction to occur. And there's actually nodes placed throughout the network that all must agree simultaneously that yes, this transaction can happen, yes, it can occur, we can send, we can receive it. Okay, so that's what Bitcoin is, that's what Bitcoin isn't, and it's all recorded in the blockchain. The blockchain refers to the network in which all transactions are recorded in a public ledger. Now, what we're going to be focusing on throughout this Crypto Mastery Education program is day trading primarily. Day trading is one of the most profitable ways to build up an accumulation of Bitcoin. There are many different ways to earn Bitcoin. One of the smartest, one of the most productive, and one not necessarily requiring vast amounts of investments is what we refer to as day trading. It's my favorite method. It's what I invest about 80% of my Bitcoin into. As far as accumulating more Bitcoin, I do through day trading. So day trading is the exchange of alternative currencies with the goal of creating profits paid back in Bitcoin. So since Bitcoin was initiated, since Bitcoin was invented, all currencies incepted since the invention of Bitcoin are referred to as alternative coins or altcoins. So Bitcoin came out, and since then, there's literally hundreds, if not about maybe over a couple thousand different alternative currencies now, and there's new ones coming out every day launching on what we call these exchange platforms where you can buy and sell alternative currencies and get paid back in Bitcoin. So what we're going to be focusing on throughout the rest of the training is actually day trading and how you can profit from that. And going up back to these bullet points here, once again, you're going to be learning how to get set up on the exchanges, Satoshi value and candlestick signs. You're going to be learning all the basic through advanced techniques that, once again, I have to promise you guys, I have to guarantee that if you do and apply everything that I'm teaching in this training, you will have massive success. It's plain and simple. You will have massive success. Now, I'm not going to tell you how much to invest or what to invest and different things like that. That's obviously up to you and your own discretion and what you are comfortable with. But bottom line, if you take this information and you are smart about it and you actively apply it, you will win. Now, one other tool that I want to show you real quick before we get in here is a really cool website called fiatleak.com. So you can come to the realization just how big, just how volatile, just how massive and important Bitcoin is. So let's go ahead and take a look at Fiat Leak. So I'm in here on fiatleak.com now, and you can see you can just go to fiatleak.com. And something to remember real quick is fiat refers to government issued currencies. So you're talking about stocks, bonds, cash, checks, cards, anything that is government issued or government regulated, we refer to as fiat currency. So as you can see, we haven't had this screen open for more than 20 seconds. We can already see that 14.9 Bitcoin in transactions has occurred today, now 15.7, now 19.5, and so on. And if you look down here, you can see all these different countries. This is the US dollar, this is Europe, Japan, Canada, British pounds right here, CHF, Australia. You can see all of these different currencies in here and the volume that they're producing. So right now you can see US is just taking the cake right now and running with it. You can see they're producing a lot, and you can see a couple other countries as well. Not so long ago, it actually used to be China that would produce the most in Bitcoin volume every single day, and we were second place to them. Now in the United States, we do obviously quite a bit. Look at this. We've had it open less than a minute, and we're 35 Bitcoin in volume today. 35 Bitcoin is an immense amount of money, guys. That's literally about $700,000 that we're at right now, just in a minute. So you can really see how volatile it is. If you want to see country by country and currency by currency, the Bitcoin volume, Fiat Leak is a great site. So now let's go ahead and talk about how are we going to get Bitcoin? How are we going to set up and secure our wallets so we have our Bitcoin in our wallets, it's safe, it's secure, and we're ready to start earning profits. We will see you in the next video where we're going to be talking about setting up your Bitcoin wallets, going over security on your wallets and how to make sure that they are secure and you have a limited amount of risk so you can continue to make massive amounts of profits. We will see you in the next video.